Hey YouTube, I'm Kenneth Ryan,
Linz,
and we're back with another exciting episode of Fanfiction Friday. I am just chilling in my jammies because it's late and I'm tired. And, well, I caught a second wind, but I'm going to be tired when this is over.
Yeah, it's almost 4 a.m.
Shush.
Which is slightly later than we usually record.
But we are back with another exciting episode of Fanfiction Friday, and what we're going to be doing today is finishing the second half of All Space Lanes Lead to Nowhere by XX Princess Avril, or Princess Levine.
Avril.
Princess Avril XX. And we're just going to pick up immediately where we left off, which is chapter 8 of 13.
Which means me.
Which is you, because it's an even chapter, so...
I don't know what Drax sounds like. I do not understand how one can be hooked on a feeling.
Oh, it's Drax the Destroyer.
Drax the Destroyer, yeah. Drax said to Star-Lord as the Milano screamed into subspace, blaring some classic 80s tune. I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy twice. Feelings are not material, and there is no way to attach a hook to them.
It's a metaphor, Star-Lord said for the 3,000,000th time. He had to say it's a metaphor almost as often as Groot said, I am Groot. Except for that time when Groot said, we are Groot. I thought that was kind of dumb, actually. I mean, if he's going to say something different for the first time, don't do it in the first movie. Because it's a Marvel movie, so you know there will be 5 sequels. It would have been more meaningful if he broke his vocabulary later in the series rather than early on, because now when he does it again, it won't be so meaningful. It's like when Silent Bob talks at the end of the movie and it turns out he's really intelligent and stuff. He should have done it every other movie or something. Not every movie, because now it's expected that he's going to talk at the end of the movie. Although, to be fair, in Clerks 2, he kind of made that observation when he made Silent Bob say, I've got nothing. Anyway, you can be Zoe Saldana.
We got to make that deal with Dash Rendar, Zoe Saldana, with green skin, snapped at Star-Lord and Drax. Tired of all their arguing all the time. She was the woman on the team, so she had to be stereotypically bitchy and pushy. Also, she didn't have a whole lot of energy to deal with Drax and Star-Lord arguing with each other, since she was also on one of the Enterprises as Uhura.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she definitely
Just go with it, man. After I typed, just go with it, man, I broke for a new paragraph and then reread what I wrote because something seemed off about it, but I realized I talk kind of similar to Star-Lord sometimes, so I should give Star-Lord more dialogue. It seems like he would come more naturally to me. Come spelled like that? Okay. Rocket Raccoon broke in and said something, so that way I could remind the reader that I hadn't forgotten he was present. And then Groot responded with...
You can just do it.
I am Groot. And Rocket Raccoon responded in a complete sentence so that we would know what Groot had actually said. Star-Lord, Zoe Saldana with green skin said, pointing outside the flight canopy at the ships before them. It was a massacre. 3 huge identical ships, although 2 of them looked more modern than the other, and one in particular looked the most modern, were fighting a really big-ass ship with a big-ass bumper sticker, a tiny ship, 2 normal-sized ships, and a sleek-looking stealth ship.
This is going to get rough, Star-Lord screamed as he took the ship into evasive maneuvers, aka he dodged this way and all that, this way and that all suddenly and stuff. Rocket Raccoon went flying into the back of the ship because he didn't have a seatbelt on. Drax the Destroyer did have one on, because I noticed he usually does. He seems very safety-oriented when he's on a ship. Zoe Saldana with green skin didn't have one, but she was standing next to Star-Lord, so she just held on to the top of his seat. Groot is a tree, so he just stood there. The Milano swerved skillfully in and out of laser, photon, phaser, beam, pizza, and fired back with their own, It actually occurs to me that I never actually really saw the Milano shoot anything other than bullets, so, the Milano shot back with bullets. But they did nothing to the other ships because the other ships had kinetic shields, and also really thick hulls, because they're used to lasers, not bullets. Bullets actually seem like a really dumb idea for this story. You know what? Fuck it. The Guardians of the Galaxy aren't in the story anymore. Spaceball 1 shot them with a laser, and since the Milano doesn't have any shields, it blew up and everyone on board died. Rocket Raccoon should have been inventing lasers or shields, not missiles. Missiles already existed. Why did he just invent a smaller missile? That seems like a waste of time. He could have been making something that would have actually saved his life, or if anyone actually included him in if anyone ever actually included him in a fan fiction. Blah.
Chapter.
It's tough to read at 4 a.m. Oh, we're back to Mark Hamill.
Except this time it's focused on it? I don't know.
Mark,
It was already like that.
Mark Hamill was laying on his back in Mara Jade's bed reading a GQ magazine, that is, Galactic Queers magazine. He had just, BRB, got to poop, lol. Back. They say writing is inspired by real life, right? Suddenly, Mark Hamill felt a disturbance in the Force. He threw the magazine down and quickly hurried to the bathroom. He used the Force to pull his khaki cargo shorts down, then jumped on the toilet as quickly as possible. A torrent of diarrhea and corn streamed from his asshole. The constant stream lasted for 45 seconds until it finally started to lighten up, and after about a minute, it was over. Mark Hamill was breathing hard and sweating heavily. Good grief, he whined. Dash really packed that in hard last night. Oh.
Because they're having gay sex.
Oh, yeah, they were talking about that. Also, writing is inspired by real life, and he pooped. I get it.
Yes.
It's also triggering the go-assed a little bit, but...
Yeah?
Just then, he heard the door to Mara's apartment slide open. Oh no, he whined to himself. She's going to smell my poo and not want to have sex with me. How will I prove I'm not gay if she stops having sex? He quickly flushed the toilet and used the Force to make the bad smell go away. He made it smell like potpourri instead. He quickly wiped his ass and put his shorts back on and left without washing his hands. But it wasn't Mara Jade standing in the apartment. It was Lord Gold Starcaller. Lord Gold was a pale-skinned, pure-blooded Sith. He had tendrils hanging from his face and folds in his cheeks, such as those his race are accustomed to. He was wearing medium-strength gear for level 50, but a couple of his pieces were still level 49 because he unsubbed after hitting 50 and never really got into endgame content. His armor looked pretty sweet. He was holding a leash which attached to a collar on Jaisa Williams' neck. She was wearing Princess Leia's slave armor. Behind him was Melvani Quinn, an officer of Imperial Intelligence. He was wearing a V-neck sweater, khaki pants, some wingtips, and smelled lightly of a fruit salad. Get it? He's gay. He smells like a fruitcake. This is so much to process at once. My brain is struggling.
I don't know who 90% of the characters in this story are.
Oh, same. They're like really pulling into the lore. Mark Hamill used the Force to summon his lightsaber from the bed and activated it. Its green blade screamed to life with a snap hiss. Lord Starcaller drew both his sabers in an impressive flourish, their purple blades drawing lightning.
Lighting the room.
Lighting the room with their glow. Jaisa Williams drew her
Jaisa.
double saber. It was red like Darth Maul's. Malavi Quinn drew his blaster because he's a dumbass, lol. They started to fight. You can be Lord Gold.
I want this Jedi alive, was Lord Gold's command to his slave and boyfriend.
I ain't gotta tell you, Lord Gold, was the slave bitch's response. The fight was pretty badass. Pretty much if you imagine a whole bunch of lightsabers swinging around, that's what it was like. There's hums and hisses while they cut through the air and clash. Every now and then, Malavi Quinn will shoot at Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill just blocks them. Eventually, Mark Hamill blocked one of the shots and redirected it at Malavi Quinn's chest, hitting him right in the... Malavi? Maybe. Oh, Malavi.
Malavi?
Hitting him right in the V-neck. The laser blast singed through the microfiber and through his skin and bone and got him right in the heart. Lord Gold didn't really care, though. Spoilers, Malavi betrayed him on Hoth, so fuck that guy. Trust me, Lord Gold definitely fucked that guy. Still, though, it kind of sucked having his boyfriend die, so Lord Gold Starcaller got pretty pissed off. He would have gotten all aggressive and struck back tenfold, but he forgot to spec his talent points after the latest patch and didn't have any really good passives or moves he could use, so he tugged on Jaisa Williams' leash and forced her to face Mark Hamill in his place while he knelt beside his dying boyfriend. Lord Gold, Malavi uttered, blood spurting from his mouth as he tried to talk. Lord Gold put his gauntleted hand on Malavi's open wound. If he was light-sided, he could probably cure him. Butt fuck that pansy shit.
Butt fuck.
There's something I want to tell you.
I know, Lord Gold said, his voice modulated from the badass mouthpiece he wears. It's kind of a cross between Darth Malak's and Darth Vader's voice. You love me, and you're sorry.
No. Malavi struggled to utter. I had to cancel my life insurance. The monthly payments were... Pissed off, Lord Gold pounded his fist into Malavai's chest to finish him off. Giggity. I mean, what the fuck? How can you just, spoilers, betray somebody and then cancel your life insurance? Lord Gold was fucking pissed now. He could feel the leash tugging in his hand as his slave bitch fought Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill just stood out of her reach so she couldn't get to him. I mean, that's one way to fight someone who's got a leash on, like...
Yeah.
Okay. Lord Gold jumped across the room using that cool move he got as a warrior at level 3 and engaged Mark Hamill in open combat. I mean, they were really going at it, man. Giggity. Lightsabers twirling everywhere, Mark Hamill being all acrobatic. Lord Gold had spec'd into the acrobatic tree before, but since he forgot to select his talents before starting this boss fight... The ship rocked as the Death Star pulled out of hyperspace, and the thrum of turbo laser batteries filled the air as they opened fire on something outside. The rock of the ship took Mark Hamill off balance, and he fell on his ass, holding a hand out for mercy. "No!" he whined. "Please, no. I finally have proof that I'm not gay. Don't let me die like this. Don't like me die like this." Lord Starcolor cut the hand off.
"I will not take your hand. I can see shit on it. Did you not wash your hands?" Suddenly the door opened, and behind them, Mara Jade stood glaring at the scene. She reached for her lightsaber, and her titties bounced around. LOL cliffhanger again.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
This is you.
Chapter 10, Archer. Captain Jonathan Archer of the Starship Enterprise was in his room with his badass beagle reading an ebook. It was A Song of Ice and Fire, a Game of Thrones. His Vulcan first officer, a female, told him that reading fiction was a waste of time, and that if he was going to read, he should read something that he could learn from. But he hated Vulcans, since his Enterprise was the very first Enterprise. The humans were sort of in Starfleet, but also sort of not. So they had to let that Vulcan bitch babysit them while they went on adventures. Just FYI, Archer's Enterprise is the first one, chronologically, but his TV show, Enterprise, makes sense, was the most recent one. So it's a little weird. I mean, he didn't even have a hyperdrive that could go past, like, Warp 2 yet. So that's why he's coming in the story so late, because he's slower than the Death Star.
Oh my god.
He was really liking the book. Khal Drogo was his favorite character so far. He made an oath that if Khal Drogo dies, he'll stop reading the series, so he really hoped that Khal Drogo wouldn't die. He dies. Spoiler, whoops.
Oh, alright.
I'm assuming. Or that, I think he does. Or
I
that
don't know
at least
Game
if
of
he
Thrones,
does die,
so.
it's a badass warrior's death. Like he dies trying to fight a huge horde of Spartans or something. That would be a badass way to die. I don't know how he dies, but I'm pretty sure he dies. Captain. Oh, whoops.
Do you want to be...
I guess. No, you can.
Okay.
I can, you can.
Captain, came the call in the comm. It was that guy with the southern accent who looked a lot like George Bush. I think it was the head engineer.
Go ahead, said Archer, pulling a digital bookmark on his Kindle so he wouldn't lose his place.
We're picking up some strange readings in Quadrant 5L. Starfleet, Alliance Command, and Imperial Command all have different nav charts. I'm pretty sure I explained this in Captain Shepard's chapter.
Commander. Let's take a look, he said, and stood up to get dressed. He liked to read books naked, and eat cheese. His beagle liked to eat cheese, too. He ate some cheese, gave some to his beagle, and stood up to put on his Starfleet jumpsuit. It looks kind of like a prison jumpsuit, but a blue one, except it has some designs on it, so it's not dull. The Vulcan bitch doesn't have to wear it, which seems odd since she's officially with Starfleet. She also has way too many deep-set feelings for a real Vulcan. At least Voyager's Vulcan is a legit Vulcan, even if he's black. Actually, I think he might be the only legit Vulcan, because Spock is half human, and Enterprise's Vulcan always gets mad or QQs. QQs?
I forget what that means.
Maybe it's because she's a woman. IDK. Maybe every episode is a month apart and she's always on her period.
Yikes.
I wonder if Vulcans get periods. I'll look it up on Memory Alpha, the Star Trek wiki. Yep, they do. Guess that means Romulans do too. LOL, if you know the connection there, you're a nerd. Fuck, I'm a nerd. Moving on. Are they like cousin species or something?
Maybe. I have no idea.
I don't know. Captain Archer entered the bridge and sat down in the command chair.
Captain, said the black guy that pilots the ship. He's really young to be a pilot of such an important ship. Fucking Hollywood. We're coming out of warp now. Archer nodded.
Bring it on screen. The Enterprise dropped out of warp and into the chaotic battlefield. Archer immediately recognized another Enterprise. Actually, there were two. No, three. Meaning there were now 4 Enterprises. There was also the biggest ship ever made, Spaceball 1, and an assortment of other ships. It was cray-cray, yo. There was no way he would let another Enterprise take his spotlight. He was the first Enterprise, damn it. He was OG. Shields up. Fire a torpedo at the Enterprise. The Enterprise fired torpedoes at the Enterprise. It was a direct hit. The Enterprise's shields merely flashed, though, because of the Enterprise's inferior weaponry. The whole series is about how they upgrade their tech to be like the more modern Enterprises. But they get a holodeck in like one of the first episodes, which seems kind of weird, since it's probably the most complicated piece of tech for them to obtain. That's where it actually ends.
Okay.
Okay. The Enterprise fired back with phasers. Another Enterprise also fired phasers. So did one of the other Enterprises. Evasive maneuvers! Screamed Archer as the ship rocked from a concussion missile.
Captain! Said the Vulcan bitch. Archer could smell her period blood from here. We've lost hull integrity on engineering.
Give me this one, I guess. Captain! Came the call from the alien guy in the medbay. They've beamed warriors on board the Enterprise. Archer was jealous. He didn't have a transporter yet. This wasn't going to be good. Vulcan bitch, he said, standing up and grabbing one of the space rifles. You've got the bridge. Black pilot, British guy, you're with me. The black pilot and the British guy. Weapons officer. We're probably the most important people to keep on the bridge for something like this. But fuck it, LOL. Archer, black pilot, and British guy piled onto into the elevator, their guns cocked and loaded. Black pilot's hair was in cornrows all of a sudden, because it would be more badass that way. I think he was bald before this paragraph. British guy wasn't really especially interesting, so he was just standing there with his gun. Archer was the guy from Quantum Leap, so he considered making a quantum leap to get out of this clusterfuck, but he didn't want to leave his beagle behind. That beagle fucking ruled.
Understandable.
Yeah. The elevator arrived in the medbay, and Archer, black pilot, and British guy stepped outside, opening fire on the assailants. Worf, the Klingon from the Next Generation, was tearing dudes apart with his bare hands, and occasionally with his phaser. Siler, from Heroes, aka Alternate Timeline Spock, was doing karate chops on dudes, and OG Kirk was double fist punching people. You're defeated, Kirk, Archer yelled at Kirk as he pinned him down with blaster rifle fire. I don't remember if they shot lasers or phasers or what in Enterprise. I have a secret weapon planted on board your ship. Oh, I was Kirk too.
Kirk.
You couldn't possibly, said Kirk in the annoying way that he talks. Yes, Archer declared triumphantly. Hank Hill's neighbor, Consufanusiphone. Kirk's eyes went wide. No, he's not on my ship. He pounded the communicator on his chest. Scotty, beam me up. I'm afraid is on the Enterprise, making redneck jokes about Bobby Hill.
I'm not okay.
Kirk illuminated for a moment and vanished as he was beamed up. Worf slashed at Archer and cut a badass-looking gash across his face. Black pilot tried to attack him, but he's black, so he died first when Worf ripped his head off and screamed something savage in Klingon. Was Worf also black?
Oh, no, he's Klingon.
Wait, Worf.
Worf is a Klingon.
I thought it was that one guy.
No,
It's
he's
probably not
well,
that one guy.
I don't know who he's played by, but he's a Klingon.
Yeah. Screamed something savage in Klingon. British guy took out a cool-looking sword and started to fight Worf so he would be distracted, and I can write for Archer and Siler from Heroes, aka Alternate Timeline Spock. Siler from Heroes, aka Alternate Timeline Spock, and Archer locked eyes for a brief moment. Archer fired first with whatever his gun shoots out. Siler from Heroes, aka Alternate Timeline Spock, dodged and returned fire with that badass new phaser they have in the new Star Trek movies. One caught Archer on the shoulder, but since he's a plot-centric character, it only wounded him. They continued to fight.
Wow, just not even like we did a cliffhanger. Just like, no, they continued to fight. That's it.
Yeah, Worf is black.
Oh, okay.
I remember who he is.
Will
I've seen
Smith.
that. We already had a Fresh Prince reference, so...
Oh boy. Oh, but okay. Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum were flying their ship slowly toward the Death Star.
Independence Day.
As it happens, this whole fight has been taking place in Earth orbit. Will Smith had just shot down a whole bunch of aliens somewhere in Arizona, and he convinced some scientists who doesn't especially need to come along for the trip to come along and help him blow up the mothership, the Death Star. I want to be Jeff Goldblum.
Okay. They ain't gonna blow up Earth on my watch, Will Smith said like a black man. I don't know how that is, but okay.
I think this is a very bad idea, said Jeff Goldblum obligatorily. That's a word. Libre Office doesn't tell me I need to spell check it. There was chaos all around them as they slowly drifted towards the space station. The Enterprise was shooting at the Enterprise, which was dodging and shooting at the Enterprise, which for the most part dodged but still took a few hits while it shot at the Enterprise, which was really bad at maneuvering and took a lot of hits as it tried in vain to hit the Enterprise. The Death Star was blowing up little fighter jets left and right because the Death Star is badass. It was also shooting at Spaceball 1, which was shooting at the Starbug, which was shooting at both Spaceball 1 and the Outrider, which shot at the Millennium Falcon, which shot at the Winnebago. There was also a sheep floating in space, which must have some kind of ship, and was currently being CC'd.
Okay. What the hell was Will's famous flabbergasted scream?
I don't know, said Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum quickly said, because he talks kind of fast. Was he a math genius in Independence Day or in Jurassic Park? I forget which. Maybe both? Let's just say it was ID4. Fresh Prince, take us to the heading 223 and bearing 426. He was looking at the radar and doing a bunch of math stuff in his head to figure out the safest way to get to the Death Star. Will Smith doesn't do math, so he said,
"No, we going here," and steered the ship through the little opening in all the fire. Although it just happened to be that he took it to heading 223 and bearing 426. One of the Enterprises began to explode from the inside. As it exploded, they heard, "Khan!" And... I don't know who this...
He's from Laos, I think. He's the character from Laos. He's like, I'm redneck. I don't know.
But did we already have a voice for this character?
No.
And haha, you dumb redneck, over the comm chatter. The Enterprise blew up and the explosion was pretty badass. Their ship shook as the tractor beam locked onto it.
Uh-oh, said Jeff Goldblum. We're being tractored in. Will Smith followed the blue light to its origin. They were being sucked into the Death Star. How convenient.
"We're being sucked into the Death Star," he said like a black guy, adding, "How convenient." Hold on, I have to go check something on the Steam pad. I'm at work, lol, BRB. It occurred to me that I forgot to say what Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum were wearing. Will Smith was wearing a white mid-90s Chicago Bulls jersey with a number 23 on it. And Jordan. Some slightly oversized shorts. Those pump-up shoes from the 90s where you squeeze the basketball in the middle and it fills the tongue with air. And his Men in Black sunglasses. Also, his hair was in dreads because it looks more badass that way.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Jeff Goldblum was wearing a World of Warcraft druid shirt, some blue Jnikos, I don't know what those are, and some studded combat boots. Also, he was wearing horde-rimmed glasses, and his black hair was slicked back like a mobster. Okay, that's out of the way. The corpse of a dead raccoon floated past the cockpit. God, it's a Rocket Raccoon. And Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum looked at each other with a what the fuck expression on their faces. It was times like this that Will Smith really wished he had paid more attention to the stuff Tommy Lee Jones taught him as a junior agent. "All right, Ike dog," Will said, taking out his Glock and chambering a bullet. "Here's what's gonna go down. They're gonna capture us. I'll come out the ship, make them think I'm the only one. You hide. I don't know how you gonna do that, 'cause you white." Will Smith always liked to point out people's races in his earlier movies. "But you gonna do it. You're gonna get this ship up out of the hangar and blow up this Death Star. I'm gonna try and find some way off it and keep them distracted for you. Can do that? You dig?" He reached into his pocket for his iPod and started playing the theme song to Shaft.
"I dig," Jeff Goldblum agreed with a nod. Their ship entered the capture bay of the Death Star and scratched the ground as it skid to a halt. There were 4 stormtroopers outside with their, LOL, I remember the name of those rifles now from that Dash Rendar chapter, E11 blaster rifles pointed at the ship. Will Smith pressed the button to open the hatch and emerged from the top of the ship with his hands in the air.
"Look, officer," he said, trying to be funny. "I was only going 5 over the limit. Just give me a ticket and we'll be..."
"On the ground," one of the stormtroopers yelled. His stormtrooper buddy added in,
We were awful marksmen in the movies because Darth Vader specifically said he wanted them alive. So if you're like, you put on a mock Will Smith voice, oh, they're just gonna miss me if I start shooting because stormtroopers suck. Well, you're in for a surprise. Will Smith couldn't really hear what they were saying because he was really getting down to shaft. They're just gonna miss me if I start shooting because stormtroopers suck, he thought to himself. So he did some badass acrobatics, wherein he jumped off the ship doing a sweet backflip, reaching back to his waistband for his Glock and shot 2 bullets while in midair.
Oh.
Since stormtroopers' armor is just plastic, bullets will warp through it easily enough. And they did. 2 of them got hit in the head because Will Smith's a badass in Independence Day. He landed on the ground, and the 2 remaining troopers opened fire. The ship behind Will started up, and Jeff Goldblum started to fly it out of the hangar. Will Smith turned his Glock sideways like a gangsta and shot at the stormtroopers, even though if you hold it sideways, it's probably going to jam up. But he was from the movie, so it wouldn't jam on him this time. He killed the other stormtroopers, his bullets easily cutting through their plastic armor, and ran out of the hangar and into the corridors of the Death Star, where he saw a really badass lightsaber duel going on. It was fucking sweet. He saw some pale guy with tendrils and 2 purple lightsabers, holding a leash to some half-naked chick with a badass Darth Maul lightsaber, fighting against Mark Hamill, who he knew from one of those Obama dinners, since Obama loves to have dinners in Hollywood, and some fine-ass redhead with a purple lightsaber. It was a pretty even fight, since the author doesn't particularly want to kill off any of them. Will Smith knew his bullets would be useless here, but fortunately the situation resolves itself in the next paragraph. The fine-ass redhead slashed at the slave bitch's leash and cut it so she would be free of the big pale guy. The slave bitch was loyal though, so she kept fighting. Actually, she was a little disappointed. She was really into BDSM, and now they would have to go get a new leash. The pale guy and the slave bitch were getting the upper hand in the fight, but suddenly a war horn sounded in the air. Dun dun dun.
Gee willikers, Mark Hamill whined. Mara, our queue just popped.
Oh! Mara exclaimed. Jeez, queues for DPS are so much longer than they used to be. I wish Blizzard would hurry up and release some new content so the tanks and healers would resub. The 2 of them suddenly vanished in the air, and Will Smith stood there, awkwardly trying to figure out what in the flying fuck was going on. He was also trying to come up with some pickup lines to use on the slave bitch.
Understandable, I suppose.
I don't know.
This fic is literally just straight boy humor, but I love it.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
Chapter 12,
Oh, that's
though.
you. I'm so sorry. It's an
Han Solo. This was a shitfest. Han had absolutely no idea what was going on anymore. And to make matters worse, his Def Leppard CD was on the last song. Have you ever needed someone so bad? So he would have to pause from the fighting in a minute and press play again when it was over. It was their CD Vault, the greatest hits from 1980 to 1995. All around him, shit was getting real. He and Chewie were desperately trying to stay alive while they took fire from all directions. So far, 2 ships have been destroyed, an Enterprise and the Starbug. Sorry, I'm not really good at British humor, so I didn't really want to write for the Red Dwarf crew, even though I fucking love that show. Well, the Normandy SR-2 was currently sheeped. Out of Norway, a red pod racer emerged from hyperspace. It was being flown by a Doug. What, did he think this was some kind of race? Chewbacca growled, and Han, correctly, guessed that he had said Sebulba. Han brought the Falcon hard to starboard and opened fire on the Space Bell 1. Leia walked onto the flight deck, dressed in her PJs. Apparently, she'd been sleeping this whole time. Chewbacca suddenly stood up and ripped her arms out of their sockets. It was bloody and violent. But I mean, I said I would do it in the first chapter, so I had to make sure not to forget before the story was over.
Oh my god.
People were blowing up all over the place. Another Enterprise exploded, but not before some of its occupants could beam themselves on board the Falcon. Chewie growled.
What? Han was too busy flying to deal with the intruders. You take the stick, I'll go deal with this. He drew his DL-44 blaster and rushed into the corridors of the Millennium Falcon. Will Smith, Commander Shepard, holding some hot babe's tit. Worf, Dark Helmet, Mara Jade, Dash Rendar, and Lord Gold Starcaller were all in the lounge fighting each other. Lightsabers were going this way and that. Dark Helmet Schwartz was flopping all over the place. Will Smith was shooting bullets, Commander Shepard was shooting lasers and squeezing tits, Worf was firing phasers, Darth Rendar was giving Han Solo the dead eye. Dash Rendar leaped at Han with his hand out, a hidden blade extending from his wrist doing that assassin animation from Assassin's Creed.
Assassination animation.
Man, there's been like at least 7 Assassin's Creed games and they still use that same animation. Han dodged and took out his vibroblade to engage Dash Rendar in hand-to-hand combat. Behind him, Mara Jade lifted her skirt and reached between her legs. She kept it there for a few moments before finally pulled out a tampon, throwing the bloody tampon at Commander Shepard, but missed, and it flew right into Dash Rendar's mouth. His eyes went wide, and he began to puke all over the place. Not even an understatement. On the floor, the walls, even some got on the ceiling. With Dash distracted, Han spun around to take a shot at Dark Helmet, but the burly Klingon Worf leapt at Han and tore his arm off. Lord Gold Starcollar advanced towards Will Smith but slipped on some barf. Having seen that, Will Smith began to barf. Some of it came out of his nose. It was gross. Outside, the battle raged on.
Chapter...
Whew. This is it. The last chapter.
No, turn the label away. We're not advertising for Everfresh.
Sebulba.
Sebulba.
Sebulba was piloting his pod racer with his feet. Doug were very agile and more capable with their feet than with their hands. He had the magical power of being able to breathe in space, so don't ask me how he's doing this. He had also added some pretty sweet lasers to his pod racer. By now, all 4 Enterprises were gone, and the Death Star was blowing up from the inside while Jeff Goldblum flew a puny ship out of it. Sebulba shot the ship, and Jeff Goldblum blew up and died. Spaceball 1 turned to Plaid and escaped the scene because it was all beat up from the Death Star's super laser. It was bigger than a planet, so the Death Star couldn't completely destroy it with one shot. Sebulba shot the sheep that was floating in space, and it exploded into a mess of blood and gore, which had previously been the Normandy SR-2. He would have been happy to see Seth Green dead. He would be happy to see Seth Green dead. He thought it was ridiculous that they charged like $30 to $40 for a season of Robot Chicken, while the episodes are only like 10 to 15 minutes long. Everybody was blown up except for the Millennium Falcon, but eventually its occupants would all be dead or otherwise rendered disabled because they tripped on barf. Sebulba stopped his pod razor and surveyed the battle scene. Everyone was dead or otherwise disabled because they had tripped on barf, but not barf from Spaceballs. The Winnebago got blown up too. Sebulba now only had one more thing to do. Kill all the Ewoks. Sebulba won. He knew he would win. Sebulba always wins.
And that's the end of the fic.
All space roads lead to nowhere.
I mean, yeah.
Jesus Christ, what? Where am I?
I don't know.
It is the weed number AM 420, and I am in a new universe. Holy wow.
My face and stuff.
I don't even know what to say. I'm struggling.
Reviews, thoughts, comments, concerns.
This is the kind of fic you stumble upon at 4 in the morning. This is absolutely like we are in the perfect prime conditions for this.
Yep, this is a good time.
I recommend that if you don't believe the words we said, that you read the fic for yourself.
Some of them were wrong, but most of them were correct.
But if you don't believe that what we were reading was real, I highly recommend you look it up yourself. It is All Space Roads Lead to Nowhere by XX Princess Avril XX on fanfiction.net. It's wild. As you can see, it was wild. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm going to wrap this up because I'm tired.
Yeah.
So join us next time for something new on this show. It'll be something new. We'll see.
Maybe that one person leaves a recommendation.
Yeah, leave a fic rec down below, and we'll read it on the show. So get on that. Like, what the heck?
Recommend things.
But seriously, fic recs are super appreciated because then we can guarantee we're reading something on the show that you want us to read. So
that at least one person wants us to read.
Right. But again, just thank you guys so much for tuning in, and join us next time for something new and exciting. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we have awesome new content that comes out every weekday. Like the video, all that cool shit. And until next time, stay awesome, read more smut, and we will see you next week with more cool stuff. Bye.
Bye.